Sam and Citra from 90 Day Fiancé. So I follow them on Facebook, and about a week or so ago, I was scrolling on my Facebook and I suddenly came across a post. And once I saw this post, I'm like, damn, it kind of sounds like Sam may have relapsed. So they posted, honestly, and I think this is Citra saying this, I feel like the only way I truly feel alive living here is if we moved to another state or maybe to another country and got away from all the bad influences around my husband. To be honest, I don't really enjoy living here, and sometimes I feel like a fresh start somewhere new could be good for our family. And I'm from Kansas City too, and I mean, there's really not a lot going on here. And shout out to Lisa, she made a good point. Like, she's like, look, moving him isn't going to change anywhere or change anything, because if he wants to use, he's going to find out a way to use no matter what. Like, I do agree that changing like his playground and playmates may help, but that just may delay things. If he still wants to use at the end of the day, he's going to figure out a way. He'll just go to a gas station and find someone to sell him something, or he'll just go and travel back to Kansas City to get what he needs and stock up. He'll find a way if he wants to use. So he needs to get to the bottom of why he continues to use and work on that. And then Sam posted that his episode is finally out on 90 Day Diaries, where he did admit that he ended up relapsing. And then he said, hopefully the next one, we're going to be on Happily Ever After. Poke TLC. So he's trying to get on the next season of 90 Day Fiancé. And then they posted, lately, we've been talking a lot about what our next chapter might look like. When our lease ends next year, we're thinking about moving to a different state and starting fresh. It's still just a plan for now, but it's something that we've been seriously considering. We need to find new job opportunities. We love beautiful scenery, nature, mountains, and a slower pace of life. We'd also like somewhere that's a little more affordable than where we are now. Right now, places like Oregon, Colorado, or somewhere in the Pacific Northwest keep coming up in our conversations. Okay, I understand, like, wanting a slower pace of life and more scenery, but you also have to understand, if you think Kansas City's bad with drugs, then places like Oregon and Colorado are going to be even worse, because they're even closer to, like, you know, the borders of the United States where more drugs are coming in. Like, I know plenty of people who struggle from Colorado, and Oregon's right next to California, where a lot of drugs come in. So I don't know, she's still putting that risk of him being able to struggle. I'm just saying from personal experience, years ago I dated this guy, and he's like, oh, let's just go to Colorado, let's get clean, we're gonna start our life over. We went to Colorado, I didn't know anybody, and it didn't even take me a week before I was able to find someone to get drugs from. So I feel like the same's gonna happen with Sam, unless he gets some serious kind of rehabilitation before he does end up moving. She said, we know moving isn't easy. It means leaving behind what's familiar and starting over in many ways. But sometimes growth requires taking a chance and creating the life that you truly want. For those of you who live in Oregon, Colorado, Washington, or anywhere in the Pacific Northwest, I'd love your honest opinions. Where do you live? What do you love about it? And what are the downsides? And would you recommend it for a family with a young child? I'd love to hear your experiences, because we're in the research phase right now. Whatever ends up happening, I hope he does get it together for the sake of his child. Because, I mean, honestly, all it takes is him getting arrested or busted with drugs one time, and he's not going to be able to be around his child anymore. So he's got to make a decision on what's more important at this point, and he's got to be careful. You know, when you got a kid, all it takes is one time of your kid getting into your drugs, and your kid can lose their life over that. It's not worth it. But he ended up sharing on the 90 Day Diaries episode that he ended up relapsing. He doesn't know why he relapsed, but he hasn't really worked on the core issues and his triggers that caused him to keep relapsing. And he admitted, yeah, I relapsed, and my wife is so upset right now. And he said that he has no idea if his wife is going to forgive him. And he admitted, look, if I was in her shoes, I don't know if I would forgive me. And honestly, if I was in her shoes, I would not forgive him either. Especially after considering the fact that we now have a child in this world. Maybe you might be able to slip up one time, but you better get right back on the straight and narrow as soon as possible. Like, he needs to get on some kind of like Suboxone or something. Like, they got that medication. I can't remember what it's called. There's that medication that if you use like any kind of opiates or drink on it, then you won't feel the effects of it. It's like a shot, I think it's Vivitrol or something like that, like a shot they give you, and for like the next few years you won't feel the effects of opiates or alcohol. That's what Sam needs to do at this point if he can't just completely sustain from alcohol or from drug use altogether. He's got to do something major at this point. I know his wife loves him and she really doesn't have anyone else in this country, but she's got to put her foot down, because if he knows that she's going to stick around no matter what, then he really doesn't have any consequences to stop using anytime soon. Like, if I was her, I'd be going and get some drug tests and drug testing him like every few days, and if he has like a positive drug test, I would kick his ass out or move out or make plans when your lease is up to go get your own place with you and the baby, and leave Sam behind until he can get his shit together, and tell him that he needs to go to some kind of rehab or something first. I don't know, but he's got to get together, especially considering the fact I'm pretty sure his drug of choice is heroin and opiates, and you just hear so many people dying off that shit every single day. All it takes is one time getting stuff that's too strong or has too much fentanyl in it, and your whole life is over with. And then now your child's gonna have to grow up with only one parent, and your child or family does not deserve that. So Sam's got to take a step back and realize how much his actions are not just affecting him, but everyone around him. And I cannot imagine how his wife Citra's father feels after he literally got onto his ass and was like, hey, do not use again. We cannot have no more drugs in your life if you're going to be with my daughter and have a kid. And here he is going right back to drugs once again. But like I said, I feel like the move will be helpful, but if he's not ready to quit, it'll only be a matter of time before he relapses. I hope that he's able to get the help he needs, and I hope that he continues to share his story. I'm glad he was able to be accountable, though, because that's the first step, is holding yourself responsible, because once you're willing to admit your wrongs, then you can start to work on them. You know, because so many people use and relapse and try to gaslight people and try to convince them they're clean when it's so obvious they're not. And it's just so unfortunate, because you can see a big difference in the way Sam looks now compared to when we last saw him. Last time we saw him, he was glowing, he was healthy, and now he's losing weight. He just has this dark emptiness in his eyes, and it's just so sad, and I can't imagine what his wife's going through. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about Sam and his news of his relapse in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. And do you guys think that his move is going to help if that's what he ends up doing? Let me know, and thank you for watching.